Ladies and gentlemen, boys and ghouls, to all of our non-binary friends, to everyone on the spectrum and in between, welcome to another episode of The Shudder Show. My name is Ken Stacknick, and I'm here with my co-host,
David Marlowe.
And, David, we are here to talk about a little movie called Porno. Now, let's be very clear. We're here to talk about a movie called Porno. We are not here to talk about porno. We are talking about the movie that was released.
I mean, we're always open to conversations.
I mean, yes, but that's not really what this podcast is about. And to the best of my knowledge, there's not a secret section of Shudder that includes horror-themed pornography. However, I could be wrong, and if I am wrong about that, please let us know in the comments. However, what we are talking about today is the 2019 film, but got wide release in 2020 film, Porno. David, how are you doing this week?
You know, Ken, I'm doing pretty swell. I'm back at work.
That's good.
Which is really nice. It's nice to be working on building film sets and television sets again.
Huzzah.
We were building pieces for the red carpet for Golden Globes.
Neat.
So that was really nice. We were working on Love is Blind, which is on Netflix. I think we got this other project that we're working on right now, which is currently untitled, though I do think it's for Disney. Things are moving great. I'm reading a great book by Max Brooks called De-Evolution, which I am enjoying the absolute shit out of. And I'm not even paid to say this, but yeah, go check out this book if you like things about...
Like, that's the Bigfoot apocalypse movie, right?
Yes, it's a good way. The format is much more of a condensed version of what World War Z is like, except in one location, and it's Bigfoot.
Good times.
Or Bigfoots.
Bigfoots.
Big feet. Yeah.
There we go. Yes.
Yeah, doing great. And I gotta say, Ken, this is a great and interesting way to start the first day of International Women's Month.
This is true.
This is
David, real quick, do you know what a group of big feet is called?
What?
It's called a footlocker.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah, that's a terrible dad joke.
Oh, God damn you.
So, yes, but you are right. This is a hell of a movie to start off International Women's Month with. But I would like to say that if you don't know anything about this movie, I think this movie will be for you as it was for me. Mm-hmm. And I believe it was for you and for your wife.
It was.
A huge surprise.
Yeah.
This movie is not at all what I was expecting from the trailer specifically. It was from some of the reviews that I very much skimmed. In the fact that all of the reviews that I skimmed more or less were like, this is way better than you think it is. Give it a chance.
Was this a Shudder exclusive, or was this specifically? Because I don't think we checked whether or not it was.
Let me see. Give me 1 second here. I will check the interwebs to see if this is an exclusive. I don't think it's an exclusive. I could be wrong. We will see. Come on, internet, go.
Do your thing.
David, you asked the question.
Go.
You have to.
Well, yeah, no.
All the time.
It's okay. Well, shall I at least describe what this movie, like the plot of this movie?
I think at the very least that's what you can do.
So this movie, to give you an idea of what it is, it focuses around a movie theater and the 5 teenagers or the 5 kids who are working there. Very Christian based, at least the management is. And
they're varying levels of Christian-y, from at least one character who's incredibly straight-edged and absolutely very Christian, to
who steals the fucking show, by the way.
To other people who are very much on the questioning, peripheral.
They're at the perfect age where they haven't solidified their belief system.
Yes, they very much a lot of people who Porno is in fact a Shudder exclusive.
Okay, great.
Hooray!
Woo!
Another Shudder exclusive. More reasons to check out Shudder specifically because, you find out really cool movies about this. Anyway, go on.
So everything's closing up, and in choosing 2 films to watch, they happen across an abandoned room in the theater that nobody knew about, and they find this film in there that turns out to be some variation of a porno though it happens to be a curse porno.
Well, it's more. It's not really a porno. It's much more of a avant-garde art film.
Yeah.
That
Or
at
at
the
least
time, like this movie is a period piece in the fact that it takes place in, I want to say, around 1988. It would be whatever the year League of Their Own came out.
Yeah,
which
it's definitely not...
sorry, 1992. is
Okay,
when this movie
okay.
would be set, and
like a league, the two movies that they have to pick between are like A League of Their Own and Encino Man.
yes, and in this world of South Texas, I want to say this movie takes place in Austin specifically. I'm not sure if they say which town it is, but it is a.
But regardless, most, if not 95% of this film takes place in the theater. So
I believe the only shots that are not in the theater are the opening shot, the closing shot, and then there's one shot of the theater manager when he returns at night to pick
and that's just an exterior of the theater.
Yes, exactly. But everything else in this movie is inside. This is essentially a bottle episode movie, in the fact that it all takes place inside of this the movie theater.
Yeah, and
even
so
when they travel to an alternate dimension.
Exactly. And so they come across this cut of this film, which turns out, after watching it, they release a succubus.
Yes.
Or, as they call it, a sex demon. And
a succubus is a sex demon to me.
And hijinks ensue. I would definitely classify this as a horror comedy. Because there are
100%.
There are elements of it that were occasionally creepy.
Oh, absolutely. No, this is very much in the Sam Raimi funny.
Yes, yeah.
But it's funny, but it's horrific while it's happening. Not there's a lot of horror comedies that tend to go back and forth between doing gags and then doing horror. And what Sam Raimi has always realized, and what somebody Edgar Wright realizes, is that it's funniest when you're doing the gag in the horror, or the horror is funny, but it's not a gag. It's it's the woman shoving her arm inside of Alison Lohman's mouth and drag her to hell.
Yeah,
and it's both the image is really funny, but
that movie
also
does not
super
get
gross.
near the amount of recognition that it
it's
should.
So good. Yeah, I mean, Raimi is finally going to get hopefully his praise again when the new Doctor Strange 2 in the Mountains of Madness comes out, or in the
Multiverse of Madness. Yeah,
there we go.
Very much looking forward to that. But no, this was a very I was really surprised by how much fun both my wife and I had. And this is a very strangely feminist film.
Oh, strangely feminist, and I would also say strangely Christian as well.
It's very pro-Christian.
I mean, if nothing else,
not very, but
several of its characters are very Christian, very religious, and they are not treated as jokes. They are not. It becomes like they don't. This isn't a movie like Fireproof or something where they triumph because of the power of God.
No.
There's no holding crucifixes and talking about the power of Christ compels them. There's no they do not defeat the demon through the power of faith or anything like that.
They touch on homosexuality in a very pro-homosexuality
yes, they
way.
talk much more about what the culture of the time was like than they are specifically
because it's 1992. It was
exactly in what I believe is supposed to be South Texas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so very very Bible-y, but also talks about the hypocrisy behind faith and behind some of these people who preach that they're all about Christianity and being about God.
Yes, no, absolutely.
It flips it on its head every once in a while, but
it does it without. It does it without making it's not. It is, to be clear, it is not that kind of movie.
Yeah,
it is not a movie about their faith. It is a movie that has their faith in it.
It's part of
varying levels of it. Yeah, and it's just in a movie called Porno, where you're expecting it to be kind of what if the Goonies fought a sex demon, but they were all the age of the American Pie kids or something
which it's that too.
I mean, kind of. There's one character who's a little sexed up. But
Todd, right?
Yes.
Oh, Todd. Nobody tells Todd anything.
Yeah, but it's not a movie about when they put on the movie, not everybody is super. Most people are like, most of the characters are like, oh, what is this? Where there's only one character who's like, yeah, boobs. Which, you'd expect a movie called Porno to be all about people just talking about a bunch of horny teenagers working at a movie theater, getting really excited, and then getting stupidly picked off one by one because they can't control themselves. And that's not what this movie is.
And this cast is so well balanced and very talented. And so goddamn funny. One of my favorite characters is Heavy Metal Jeff.
Oh, hell yeah.
By far, let me look up this.
Played by Robbie Tan.
Robbie Tan steals the fucking show, who just, really tries to play off that straight edge kind of, comes off as rebellious at first, but then you realize, he's rebellious for God. His biggest vice was that he used to be a smoker. And just
he turned to God because of smoking, which is real,
but not cannabis, just smoking cigarettes. It compares it to the struggles of keeping your sexuality to yourself. At one point, just comes in and completely. I don't know. He was one of those characters that every line and you could tell he was having so much fun with the dialogue, and the writers must have been having so much fun writing his character.
He becomes a really great foil for the rest of the group because at least I have definitely encountered that guy. The guy who got himself in trouble to the point that now the only thing he believes in is never getting in trouble again and never doing anything wrong again. And that, particularly for a movie like this, I think works really well because a lot of times in dynamics like this, you get one character who's constantly trying to sabotage what the group is doing, and it becomes this why are you doing this? You would never hang out with this person. But in the context of a coworker situation, and in the context of he's the projectionist at this particular movie theater, so he's got a little bit more power, but also it's clear he kind of got this job on a favor, so he's got to kind of make sure.
Yeah, he came back from college because college wasn't going so well for him.
Yeah, he was being tempted too much by the secular thought that he was being taught by the liberal professors there.
Yeah, and then there's the manager of the theater. All of these kids, the cast is well balanced in that the film does an amazing job at making sure that all of these kids have a purpose to be there.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Everybody is dealing with their own internal struggle in some way. The two best friends, there's one was a bit of a peeper and kind of bails on his friend, and it's
Evan Daves and Larry Saperstein are Abe and Todd.
Which one played Todd?
Todd is Larry.
I loved this actor at the end of this when he was doing his little
he's doing his thing. Yeah 100%.
Oh,
that's one of those ones where when you are casting, you have to cast for both. And I think he's good as Todd, but he's amazing as evil Todd, for lack of a better term.
And I do want to let our listeners know that we're going to be talking about this more in what we got out of this film as opposed to what went into making it and the production of it, specifically because it's newer, but also because of the name of the film. Looking for it and Googling it was a little tough.
This movie is an SEO nightmare. And yes, and on top of it, this movie was only released very recently to VOD wide, so there's not a lot of special features available. It was also released by Fangoria, the magazine that has now transferred from, I believe, Cinestate to a new publisher because of...
Oh, did they?
Yes, there's been a whole bunch of terrible, awful sexual harassment stuff in the Austin film world, and this was caught up in it, and Fangoria has been sold now, and this is not that kind of podcast, and we are not those kind of journalists, so if you want to go and look into what happened to Fangoria, you should go do that.
Glad changes are being made.
So I can also understand why this movie has kind of been caught up in the kerfuffle that is going on. And I only say kerfuffle in the way that I
Which then it makes sense that they would transfer it over for distribution as being a Shudder exclusive, as opposed to...
It's clear there's other stuff going on at the company that maybe they don't have time right now to produce behind-the-scenes material.
But regardless, outside of that, this is a good piece of work, and this is genuinely hard work got put into this in most aspects of the film.
I mean,
including the gore effects are amazing.
Oh, the prosthetic effects in this are absolutely top notch. And we should say this now: if you are squeamish about genital
mutilation.
Yeah, there we go. Genital mutilation. That's the word that we'll go for. This movie has some moments where you might need to look away or fast forward, perhaps chapter skip, depending on how squeamish you are. That said, I am someone who has seen an obscene amount of horror films, has seen an obscene amount of gore, has worked on horror films, has seen gore being done in person, and there's a particular penis trauma scene where I literally gasped and then said, "Ho!"
There was an audible reaction from me. My wife hilariously could not look away from the screen. She was so fascinated by what was happening. Meanwhile, her husband is over on the end of the couch, just being like, "Just tell me when it's over. Tell me what." And I would look over, and you'd think okay, they're done with it. Well, then the editor just wants to fuck with the audience. Keeps every once in a while bringing it back to this horrible image.
Well, so many times normally in horror movies, especially leading up to now, there was always a tendency that because of the way that censors worked, you could only cut to that extreme gore shot kind of once. And that would be the one that you got away with, because the censor would just say no.
The beauty of streaming.
But the beauty of streaming means now you can start to break that rule. And because they know that you think that's the rule, they can every now and then kind of do you remember, the game that you play with a niece or a nephew? You put them on your knee and you go, "Garbage can," and you dip them down. Or
garbage can.
Garbage can was what we said in my family. I'm sure everyone has a various version of that, but that's you just do that. "Oh, dunk you. Oh, it's okay." That's kind of what this editor is doing, except with extreme penis trauma, which is a hell of a thing to do. Let's see. One thing I wanted to mention.
Yes.
A callback to kind of one of the other films that I saw. I thought when they put on the avant-garde succubus summoning movie, I thought it reminded me of two films in particular, one of which we have talked about on this film, or on this podcast, which was Love Witch. I thought it kind of had a lot of that kind of 60s avant-garde, kaleidoscopy kind of feel.
That kind of came to mind for me as well.
And then the other big movie for me that I thought they were referencing, which also was what make me think this movie is supposed to be set specifically in Austin, was Mono's Hands of Fate, which I don't know if you've ever seen, is one of the...
I still have not seen that one.
All-time worst... Well, supposed to be one of the all-time worst movies of all time.
And that's the one with Sean Connery, correct? In his little red Speedo?
No. That's Zardoz.
No, Zarda. Oh, okay. Sorry, my apologies.
Yes, no. Mono's Hands of Fate is a movie that is very hard to explain.
It's black and white, right? It's pretty old.
No, it's in color.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no.
I know nothing about this film. Then.
It is. Mono's Hands of Fate. I was not prepared to unpack all of this. All right, let's see here. It is one of those movies where two travelers end up at a weird house, and then there's a weird cult in the house, and then a bunch of weird cult stuff happens, and people die, and there's blood, and nothing really makes sense, but it's totally nuts. And there's a guy named Targog, I want to say.
Targog?
Hang on. I'm typing as fast as I can.
Type noise.
Type.
I'm looking up the director of this film too. Porno. Keola Racela.
Well, yeah, this is definitely their most... Torgo. There we go. Very close. Sorry, the brain cobwebs are still a little thick because of the pandemic. Let's see here. Yes, and the director has done a few things. Nothing in particular that I'm...
Is this a male director or is this a female director?
Keola?
Keola? I can't really...
I don't actually know. Again, it's been
not that it matters, but...
Yeah, no. It's been hard to find any information on this, partially because it's so new. So I don't know. But she's done a TV movie. She did Beast Under the Bed, a TV series called Sugar, one episode of that, and then a couple of shorts.
Yeah.
So
and this one's gotten a couple of awards. I think at the Philadelphia Film Festival, it got the Archie Award. It was an Archie Award nominee.
Yeah, it premiered at South by Southwest.
Yeah, South by Southwest, Midnight Extreme nominee for Best Film. Oh gosh, what was it? I mean, this director's actually been nominated at a couple of different festivals, and it looks like the work that they put out is quite good. I think it says that they're known for Two Sisters, Sugar, and Above the Sea, as well as Porno. But yeah, this is written by Matt Black and written by, I believe there's another credit, Lawrence Venicelli. And Matt Black has written films. Oh gosh, it's his writing credits. I don't think go back nearly as far. I don't think he's got quite as much under his belt.
I mean, this very much, everything about this movie seems very much to me, and one of the reasons I would definitely recommend this movie, especially to any filmmakers out there, is this is a perfect example of the kind of movie that you make if you don't have a lot of resources. You have it take place literally entirely inside of one location, a movie theater, and you do it at nighttime. So it becomes very easy for you to get access to a movie theater when they are closed. A lot of movie theaters have, now all movie theaters are closed all the time, or at least in various parts of the country.
So yeah, if you're looking to shoot inside a movie theater right now,
you shouldn't be shooting anyway. But yes. And on top of that, even when they travel to a different dimension, the different dimension is literally just the movie theater with the lights on, which from a cinematographer, I just thought was funny. But I totally get why that's the choice that they made. They just decided to sink all of their money very clearly into making sure that all the prosthetics and effects looked great. They did not cheap on that at all. All the money that they saved by keeping it in that movie theater, they 100% put up on the screen. And then the other great thing that they did is they spent their money on actors, and they made sure that all of the characters were distinct and unique, and they all got a scene to shine. They all got some time to play. They all got a chance to show different dynamics, both in their character and in your expectation. Yeah, even the manager himself. And it is a great example of what you can do even if you have limited resources. I also want to say personally, I have a personal shout out I want to make to the actress who played Chaz. That was Jillian Mueller. I'm sorry that Alison Brie exists, and she is currently eating your lunch. Everyone, if you cannot cast...
yes, that's who
if you
there was
cannot
an actress at the back of my head every time she was on there, and yes, it's Alison Brie.
Yeah, if you are casting someone and you cannot get Alison Brie, get yourself Jillian Mueller. She is awesome, and I'm sure she has way more range than that, but she is... I feel for her as I felt for... what's his name from Scream? Skeet Ulrich. That Johnny Depp existed at the same time that he did. Because that is just a guy, hey, he stole my DNA. What am I supposed to do? And you're like,
God, what the fuck happened to him?
I don't know. Johnny Depp is what happened to Skeet Ulrich. I mean... because you just don't need one when you have the other.
Well, how do you spell his name now? I gotta look this...
Skeet, like shooting Skeet, and then Ulrich, U-L-L...
There we go, yeah. Skeet Ulrich. I mean, known for Scream, The Craft. Not really known for anything recent.
Like, George Clooney would not have been famous if Cary Grant had been alive at the same time of George Clooney.
Yeah, his credits, I think his most well-known credit recently would be something on Riverdale.
Now, actually, the better question is, if young Robert Redford and young Brad Pitt had been alive at the same time, who would have won out?
Oh, goddamn.
Yeah, because, don't get me wrong, I love me some Robert Redford, and he's a hell of an actor. But I love
that Brad Pitt's a snack.
I love what a character actor trapped in the most handsome man in the world's body Brad Pitt is. There's so many times when he makes the wildest choices, and that's why I just I love you, buddy. You are...
It's you could have easily just coasted on your looks, but
and
nope,
you absolutely not to.
Yeah, showed up to work.
100%.
And I always appreciate something like that. But no, everything down to the testicle busting, and not the good type of testicle busting, not the swaths of frothy ejaculate kind of testicle busting, but...
Or the super funny torn off penis tossing it around like that we saw in Street Trash. This is not like
Yeah.
a bunch of hobos playing keep away with a penis tee-hee-hee. This is genital trauma. This is... Like this, I would put this up with Gerald's Game as
Oh, yes.
as prosthetics that made me like...
As in terms of cringy gore.
That like made me like I would have loved to see this movie in a theater with people just to hear them shriek. Because
Men, I would not be surprised if there
Men
would be
would
men in the
weep.
theater would faint.
oh, they would weep, they would faint, they would run from the audience.
I was actually I felt my stomach actually getting.
You were verklempt.
I was verklempt. It was. It's.
It was an intense experience to say the least, and
A very surprisingly pleasant experience.
I was.
Like, what did you expect? Like, you expected a...
I expected I expected kind of, let's see here, slightly old, like the American, what I described before. I thought it was going to be like the American Pie kids fight, a bunch of sexed up teenagers fight a succubus, and it's not that. Yeah, it's not that.
I almost expected a high production student film from the trailer. Like okay, it's like no, like they got a good cinematographer, and it looks like they got some actors that I've really never heard of or seen before, but looks like they all showed up to work because this is their first feature film, and
It almost like it was one of those movies where I heard a bunch of promising stuff, but I kind of didn't necessarily believe it. So I wanted to check it out just to see if they were right. And yeah, I was expecting a movie that was just there to take advantage of what they had. They were just like, oh, okay, what's a succubus demon? We're just going to call it porno, and then that way there's some boobs in it, and they would call it a day. And yeah, no, I can't believe how delighted I was by this movie.
yeah, this could have been such a lazy film.
Yeah, and they really went from top to bottom, and I don't.
Yeah, and it does something that I think a lot of horror films struggle to do sometimes when it comes to religion, and it's not necessarily because I'm an atheist, and so I'm more just like, I tend to be pretty respectful towards any religion or culture in any particular way, but there was something that I did appreciate about the fact is like this was respectful to Christianity, but at the same time was like, it's like, yeah, it's like, it's not terrible, but you guys have some things you got to work out.
It's respectful towards Christianity, but it does not. It is not a movie like The Exorcist where it says specifically that like the Catholic Church are the good guys, and like this movie does not end with an exorcism. Nobody holds a cross. Nobody chants a prayer in order to drive the demon out. They are not. It is not dependent on a person of faith doing a thing.
It's more of the personality of the American Christian in the 90s.
100%.
I think is the best way to sort of describe that vibe. But yeah, altogether, I highly recommend this. Like, I really recommend this film. If you're looking for just a fun horror movie night.
Yeah, you're looking for a good 99 minutes, this is it.
Yeah, it's a relatively short film. And the characters are great, and I think you're going to have quite a few laughs and more than a little bit of shrieking
from your
male counterpart.
Yeah, some squirms for sure. Now, David, I suppose then that means it's come to the point in the evening for us. Who knows what time it is for you? But it is that time where I give you a choice for what movies we're going to check out next week.
Indeed.
Now, next week you have the choice, David. After we're gonna travel in time here in a minute.
Okay.
And then after that, David's gonna get a chance to figure out which movie we're gonna see. Now, David, you're gonna have the choice between Ken Russell's The Devils or Ken Russell's The Devils.
Ken Russell's The Devils?
Ken Russell's The Devils.
Literally, there's only one choice?
There's only one choice.
Okay.
Because I've been wanting to see this movie again for a long time. It's finally on Shudder. It's a movie that doesn't show up that often. It's a horror classic. It's got Oliver Reed in it. It's wild. There There's a nun orgy. It's gonna be great, and you're gonna love. That's why you get two choices: Ken Russell's The Devils or Ken Russell's The
All
Devils.
right, well, let's take a look at...
David, step into the time machine.
Changed the interior in here. It's very nice.
No, I added shag carpeting.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, no. Next, I'm putting in a conversation pit next week, but I'm waiting for the.
Okay.
I mean, technically speaking, I could have traveled forward in time.
Has
had the
champagne
contractor.
in here?
Yeah, well, absolutely. Had the contractor put in the conversation pit and traveled back, but just things have been busy. So,
Okay,
David,
I'll grab Freddie.
all right, hang on. Let me just initiate things here.
I think the time machine blew a gasket. It's making some weird noises. Ken.
Yeah, now one of the speakers is a little on the wonk at the moment.
Well, you take the good with the bad.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, it's a time machine. It gets a little roughed up.
Yeah. Anywho, what the fuck kind of film are you going to show me, right? Jesus.
It's a Ken Russell film. Ken Russell is a hell of a guy.
See, I thought at first, like, when you were saying Ken Russell's, I thought it was going like Rustles, as in, like, he's rustling up some devils.
Oh, no. He's a famous director. He did Tommy, the Who musical. He also did Altered States, Woman in Love. He is, let's see here, The Rainbow.
This movie looks fucking fascinating.
Yeah, Lair of the White Worm. This movie's wild. It's X-rated, and there's a cut of it that's X-rated. That's what this one is.
This is the one on Shudder that's X-rated?
Yes.
Damn, good man.
So it's
not Shudder.
So it is. So there's multiple cuts of The Devils. I'm going to see which one this is. I believe this is the X-rated but not uncut version. There's an uncut version, an X-rated version, and an R-rated version. I believe. I've only done a little bit of research on this so far, but I have seen it before. But anyway, we'll get into all of that next week when we talk about The Devils.
Ken, I really appreciate that Shudder, not only do they get these films in their library, but they get the best quality version of the film that they can possibly find. They don't just be like, throw it in there, whatever.
Well, and they'll put out something like The Devils, and then they'll also put out something like Porno. They give you the old and the classics and the things that are hard to find, and then the new ones that if you didn't have somebody like Shudder to help curate what was available, you might totally miss or you might skip over. This is, Shudder to me is like a great employee recommendation section of the old. I'm old enough to remember what going to a video rental store was like. Renting either VHSs or DVDs.
Luckily, I'm part of that group too.
And yeah, you could always tell what kind of place you worked at by the employee recommendation section. And I don't know what the name of the person at Shudder is who's doing these selections, but thank you for your service.
Yeah, we owe you several drinks.
Oh, absolutely. Sure. David, question: do you have any plugs that you want to pluggable?
Yes. You feel free to check us out at Shudder_show on Instagram. You can also check me out on Instagram at _DWMarlowe, where you can see all of my random hijinks and the things that are my life. Yeah. Also, feel free to check out our buddy Benjamin Moy, who did the theme for this show. He has a podcast called Hooked on Score, which is pretty goddamn solid. Highly recommend it.
A lot of really great interviews with a lot of composers, and that is a slot of the movie industry that is very hard to find good information on, especially straight from the source. So I would highly suggest that you check out, if you're a big movie score fan like I am, check out Benjamin's podcast. Yeah. It is awesome.
Yeah, and feel free, keep an eye out. There's a couple of things that we're possibly in the works with. I'm not going to talk about it because nothing's confirmed as of this point, but we are also playing around with some different things to do, and we're trying to have some fun with this, and
bring you some new stuff.
Make sure that the formula doesn't stale up too much.
Absolutely. And if you're enjoying what you're listening to here, please give us a reviews, particularly on iTunes, but any of the services wherever you get your pods. You can check us out on Twitter at Shudder Show, no underscore. Where on Instagram we do have the underscore. You can check me out on Twitter and on Instagram at Ken Stachnik, STACHNIK. You can check out my dog on Instagram and Twitter at Freddy Potatoes.
Mr. Potatoes.
And other than that, I hope to see you all next week. We love you. You're amazing.
But people, please, go and fuck yourself.
Good night.
Love you.